Hello everyone, today we're doing Unit 5 mid-unit assignment. So we have 3 questions. So for the first question, that is determine an equation for the family of quadratic functions with zeros, a -5/2, -1, 7/2, and 3. And the first question from the first big question is write an equations for 2 functions that belong to this family. So here we have my first equation, which is this one, fx equals to 2x plus 5 times x plus 1 times 2x minus 7 plus times x minus 3. So for the given information, we know that this function has to have like 4 zeros, which is -5/2 and -1 and 7/2 and 3. So basically, in order to find all zeros from this function, we should make we should figure out every axis. So shortly speaking, we have to make every parentheses equals 0 so that we can find the zeros, all zeros from this function. So in order to every parentheses equals to 0, and we can find the x value. So for the first one, the x is equal to -5/2, and the next one is x equals -1, and then x equals 7/2, and then next x equals 3. So it just matches the conditions from this function. And our second function, actually they basically just keep the same, only change the leading coefficients. I make it -3, but actually all the zeros are just kept the same. And let's move to the next question, which is determine an equation for the member of the family whose graph passes through the point -2 and 25. So for this question, we need make the base of the function looks like this. F and -2 equals 25. So first of all, we are gonna change the x value of our original function, which is 2x plus 5 times this one. So we just put every x value of -2 like this, and then we just calculate it, and then we get a -55. That is the value if we put x equals -2. This function will give us, actually this is y value, and then we need to find the leading coefficient, which times -55 will equal 25, which is our final y value. I'm sorry. So now we have another equation, which is 25 divided by -55, and then we'll find our leading coefficient, which is -5/11. Then therefore we have our final equation, which is hx equals -5/11 times this blah blah. This is the equation that we have originally. So if you just put a further calculation, you will get this function, which is if x equals -2, and then our h value or value whatever will equals the given one, which is 25. So that will be equals actually it just the graph will passes through the point -2 and 25. Okay, that is our first question. Oh no. Also the third part of this question. So now we sketch a graph of the functions in parts A and B. So we have three equations actually. So the first equation is fx equals to this one, our original equation. So now we have our all zeros, which is here -5/2 and -1. Actually, it's -1. Maybe here -1, and here is -5/2, and then 7/2, and then 3 over 3 zeros. Maybe I didn't draw it very precisely, but we can find the zeros from the function, and then you need to put on the graph. The second equation keeps all zeros, just mentioned there's a -3. Actually, it's -3, and because it's negative leading coefficient, so all the graph just upside down like this, all upside down. And then our final equation, also all the zeros keep the same. Only thing changes the leading coefficient, which becomes -5 and 11. Yeah, that's it. So also because it's negative, all the the graph just upside down. Okay, now let's move on to the next question. The next question is the distance in kilometers traveled by a plane after t hours can be represented by dt equals -4t blah 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 -4t raised 3 times power and plus 40 times t raised 2 times plus 500t, and also the t should bigger or equals 0, but less than or equals 10. So how long does the plane take to fly 4,088 kilometers? So for this one, it's actually simple, because the only thing we need to do is just let the distance equals 4,088, and then figure the t out, because the t represents the time. So as given, so we know that the t will be greater or equal 0, but less than or equal 10. So we know we can find the t value by assuming it from 0 to 10. So let's just start from 5. So if t equals 5, and then td, just put 5 to t value, and then you'll get and then you'll get 3,000. So obviously 3,000 doesn't equal 4,088. So obviously t is not equal, t doesn't equal 5. So let's try 6. So if you put 6 to t value, and then you get the distance of 3,576. Obviously it's not the correct answer as well. And then let's try 7. So fortunately, if we put 7 to t value, and then we'll get the distance of 4,088 kilometers, which is just match the right answer. So now we know that t equals 7, which is the hour. So our answer is the hours taken by the plane to travel 4,088 kilograms is 7 hours. And that is our second question. So now let's move to the... Okay, now we have our last question. that is write an equation for a rational function whose graph has all of the indicated features. So now we have 4 indicated features. The first one is x-intercepts of -4 and y-intercepts of negative 2, and then vertical asymptote with the equation x equals 2, horizontal asymptote with equation y equals 1. So first one, I'm showing my final equation, which is y equals x plus x over x minus 2. Actually, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Y equals x plus 4 over x minus 2. So here, let's just look at step by step. Look at it step by step. So x-intercepts of -4, which means, so first of all, we need to know when x-intercepts is when y equals 0. So when y equals 0, so how could we make y equals 0? So let's just verify. If x equals -4, x equals -4, and then -4 plus +4 is just 0. So the numerator is equals to 0. So obviously, all the result of this fraction will equal 0, which means y equals 0. So that is when y equals 0 and the x-intercepts is -4. So just match the first one. Let's check it. And then y-intercepts is when x equals 0. So let's try if all x equals negative. I'm sorry. So let's verify and to see that if all x equals 0 and y equals -2. So let's put all x equals 0, 0, 0, and our numerator will be +4, and denominator will be -2. So +4 divided by -2 will equal -2 obviously. So fortunately we just matched the next condition, and then vertical asymptote with the equation x equals 2. So we know that vertical asymptote is when the denominator equals 0. So it's easy. How can we make the denominator equals 0? We know when x equals 2, and then x here as one part of the denominator, we just let it -2, and then we will get a 0 as our new denominator. So that would make the vertical asymptote with equation x equals 2. And lastly, a horizontal asymptote with the equation y equals 1. So we know that horizontal asymptote with the two leading coefficients with the largest degrees divided each other. So if we want to find the horizontal asymptote with the equation y equals 1, we need to let two leading coefficients with the largest degrees divide each other and then get a 1. So obviously, in this case, we have because we only have one part each parts of the fraction, and obviously it's the leading coefficient is 1 and the second is 1, so 1 divided by 1, obviously we got a 1. So it just matched the last condition, which has the horizontal asymptote with the equation y equals 1. So now we have our final answer again, which is y equals 1. Actually, you can just say x plus 4 divided by x minus 2. Yeah, that's it. That's all we have for this assignment. Thank you for watching.